listening to I Am Refocused Radio with your host, Shamaya Reed. This show is designed to inspire you to live your purpose and regain your focus. And now, here's your host, Shamaya Reed.
Hey, welcome to I Am Refocused Radio. We are here once again, and today we have a true amazing show, just like we do on every other day. We have our special guest, DaVon and Greene. He's going to share with us his amazing story. He is not just going to tell us about the amazing inspiration that he brings to this episode, but he's going to tell us everything about his writing, everything about his career, everything about who he is. So first and foremost, I want to welcome to our show today, DaVon and Greene. How are you doing this afternoon, man?
I'm doing great, man. I'm doing great. Another beautiful day in paradise, trying to do what I have to do to get where I have to get to, man.
So, man, tell the audience a little bit about yourself and everything that you're doing right now.
Well, my name is DaVon and Greene. I am a writer. I have lived, gone through several different iterations to get where I am today. I have made mistake after mistake. I have had successes and I've had failures. Let's face it. And now I am a small business owner. We own a trucking company, and I am also a writer. And my latest book is called Paladin by DaVon and Greene. It is Paladin, Briscoe Duvall's Savior of House LaFleur. So we are starting to get this book out there. It'll be out December 27th. And that is my latest focus.
I know it's on the website that you're allowing people to download chapter 1. So kind of tell us a little bit about this project and what inspired you to create this.
Well, my dad was a writer. His name was B.B. Johnson. His writing name was B.B. Johnson. And he wrote a series of books called Together Brothers. And I grew up in a household where my mother encouraged me reading. My dad encouraged me reading. And that has led to this project. This is actually my second book. My first book came out during COVID. And that book, we actually had some very good reviews on that book. But, during that time that was our first project. And that was, we had some people we dealt with that we no longer deal with and so forth and so on. So you live and learn. And now we have put together a team with this second book. And this second book is with a new character. And his name is Briscoe Duvall's. And he is a flawed hero. And he is down in New Orleans in the middle of a big mess, and he has to solve the murder of Bartholomew LaFleur. And it encompasses voodoo, and it encompasses a whole lot of beheadings, and it takes them all over the United States to try to solve this.
When you look at everything that you've been able to do so far, kind of paint the picture for the audience a little bit about your life, because your life story is just as great as these books that you're writing. Share with the audience a little bit about your life experience.
Well, let me tell you, man, I have been there, done that. I have been incarcerated. I have made honest mistakes in my life, and you gotta bounce back from that. And if you don't, complacency kills. And if that's what you want to do, then I'm good. You keep on doing that. I'm gonna keep on pushing, because I've known too many times in my life, and I've seen too many people who've given up. And you see people like that every day, and that's not what I believe in. I believe, I don't know where it came from, but I've been instilled with the fact that you got to keep on fighting and keep on following what you believe in. And I really enjoyed writing. I used to read when I was a little kid, read books at home, and my parents encouraged me to read. So coming across that story, I had a uncle. My first book I wrote at 12 or 13, and my uncle Saul David, my dad gave it to him to read and to do his critique. And we went out to his house a few weeks later, and he basically, one of the things he told me was he wanted me to paint a picture which at the time he didn't think I was doing. And he said, you got a long way to go, but, he encouraged me. But what I heard was, no, you can't write. So I went another way in life. And instead of writing anymore, I put my pen down and I went to the dark side and got in trouble a few times, went to jail. And, hey, I did the crime, got to do the time, went to jail and got out and went to jail. And 1 year I was in jail and my daughter came to visit me. She was one and a half when she came to visit me. And she looked at me behind those, behind bars. And I knew I wasn't going back. And that was it. I knew I was never going back. And that was the rest was history. I got out. I started getting a job and getting my first, first few, if you want to call them jobs. And they weren't, I want to recommend those jobs to anybody, but that's what I had to do. And finally, I had a break. And I got actually my wife, who is my wife right now, she called me and she said, hey, listen, they're hiring at a company in California called Alamo Beverage. And they're hiring right now. Are you available? So, yeah. So I called them, talked to the people I needed to talk to, got a job there. And the rest was history, man. I was making great money. I did that I was in the beer business for probably 10 years, and I loved every minute of it. And I just got a chance to have that opportunity. I got lucky. And, but, when the luck wears off, you got to prove your worth. And once I got in there, the rest was history, man. They loved, I was willing to do what it takes to make, just to sell something I believed in. Cause hey, back then I was drinking beer. So it was pretty easy to sell.
We're talking to our guest, DaVon and Greene, and you go to his website, DaVonandGreene.com. When it said in your bio that, you knew writing was in your blood. And when you had to take that break, when, life happened and you had to, quote unquote, refocus and get back into what it is you needed to do for yourself, at what moment after you got your job secured and all that kind of settled down when you decided to say, you know what, I'm going to pick this pen back up, I'm going to continue to write?
Well, that all came about because of some of the ups and downs you have in your life. And I had gotten into real estate sales in California. And in 2007, 2008, the world ended. All the things dropped, prices dropped on real estate, and a lot of people lost their butt, and I was one of them. And I ended up in New Orleans, Louisiana, working for a subsidiary of State Farm. And I did that for a second, and then I started doing contracting out there and did that. And then, it came along. I wanted to get, I decided I wanted to get my own truck because I always liked driving as well. So I started pursuing that. And while I was down in Corpus Christi, Texas, I started writing again. And I would write every night. And I was driving tanker trucks during the daytime and writing at night. And, because it was just something I wanted to complete. So finally, I completed my first book. Me and my wife got back together in California, and she told me, just keep on writing, just keep on writing. She loved the first book, and she just keep on writing. So that's what I did. And but that was the emphasis. I had some time, and I wanted to complete another book. So that's what I set out to do, and I completed it.
When you look back and you put the pieces together, what you've been through and what you're doing today, not just for yourself, but for your family, what's the most important lesson that you learned that has allowed you to not just rebuild your life, but to, thrive?
Well, you have to, first off, you have to find what you enjoy. You have to find, if you're in something you can't stand doing, then find something else. You have to find something you enjoy in life. then you have to pursue that with vigor. You have to pursue that with everything in you and make it work. And if you're at the top of that, because I really enjoyed the beer business, I can't deny that. But I was at within 2 years, I was at the top pay in that field, and I loved it. But if that's what you want, hey, great. You could do. I could have done that the rest of my life. But actually, they sold the company, a few years later. So I could keep on pursuing that, or I can go in other directions. And I went back I went into real estate because I've always liked real estate. My family had been involved in real estate. So I'm into real estate for a while. I loved that till 2007, 2008. So all this stuff, my life has been like a roller coaster, but you know what? You got to keep on going. I have beautiful children. I have beautiful grandchildren. I love them to death. And I want to set an example for them.
You mentioned running a trucking company.
Yes.
How did you get interested in doing that, and how did you balance that with your creative writing?
Well, we got our first truck in 2015. I believe it was November 2015. And I was driving by day and riding by night. So at the end of the day, when I'm done, I had some ideas and I'd write down. And be quite honest with you, there's a few books in the can that's already done, ready to roll. And we're going to be rolling those books out one by one when the time comes. But, and that's all due to my wife's plan. My wife, I look at the big picture and my wife puts it together for me. And I cannot express to you enough what it means to have a partner who believes in you, who stands by you, who supports you. So whatever she wants, I try to do is whatever I can. When she asks for something, okay, baby, that's just how it is, because she supports me beyond reproach.
Being able to publish your own work, did you publish independently? Did you publish with a company? And if you did independently, what was that experience like for you?
Well, we published with Amazon, and we are still publishing with Amazon on this second book. And the first time was very interesting because a lot of people are going to tell you a lot of things. And actually, I'll give you an example. We had the people who did the formatting for the book. And we talked to a lot of people about formatting, but we had a company who actually did it. And they took maybe 4 months or something like that to format. Maybe, I can't be certain. But one thing I do remember is our communication was terrible. Mm-hmm. I would send them an email and, you might hear something back 3, 4, 5 days later. And finally, when we got it done and they got it uploaded to Amazon, and he knew I was writing I had another book ready to roll. He called me about a year ago and he said, hey, man, when are you going to be ready for this second book? And I said, man, hey, I appreciate everything you did on the first one, but we're going to go another direction because, the experience was just lousy. And that happens. That happens. You're going to go through some people and you're going to run into some people who claim the world and they're going to be full of it. Yeah. And, that happens in life.
And with that point, being able to balance, work schedules and still be able to produce things like writing in your spare time, how do you set your priorities to make sure that, you're hitting your goals, but you also can measure up, your own personal evaluation, how you tracking?
Yeah. Well, my wife's also an accountant, so she gives me my numbers every year on my trucking side. What we're expected to do, what our goals are, so forth. So we set that up at the beginning of every year. And then my writing, I try to write at least a book a year. So, I'll get ideas and that night I might write 4 or 5 pages. Other days I might write a paragraph or 2, but I try to stay consistent on my writing. I try to do that and balance it out with, making money for my family.
We're talking to our guest today, DaVon and Greene. Go to his website, DaVonandGreene.com. It comes to your mindset. I mean, like we kind of, said throughout the show, you went through some trials in life, ups and downs,
Yes, sir.
mountaintops and valleys.
Yes.
When you were in those dark moments in life, what was it that kept you, looking towards the light, knowing that, it ain't over. I can still push through this.
I'm going to give you an example, man. Honest, this is probably going to be one of the most honest statements you've heard on this show. I don't know, but years ago, the first quarter of 2013, when I got in I was working for a company called Snyder. And I had child support up the yin yang. It was a hard time in my life. I was in the snow in Pennsylvania, parked off, I believe it's 76 and I-80, I-81, something like that, at a pilot up there. I had $26 in my pocket. I had a loaf of bread. I had a jar of Skippy peanut butter, and Smucker's apricot pineapple jelly. I sat there. My bank account was negative. And all this is my doing because, I was not up to par at the time. I was way behind on my child support payments. So it was my doing. And as I'm sitting there, woe is me to the world and so forth and so on, I did some praying. I did some soul searching. And I told myself, I'm going to come back from this. Maybe 30 minutes, 45 minutes. I don't know how long it took, but I told myself, you're going to be okay. And I put my blinders on, focused on what I had to do. I talked to the state of Louisiana, made a deal so I can catch up on my child support faster, did what I had to do, did that, and kept on going, man.
Sounds like you came to the point where you had to have a plan. And when you started to make your own plan, your way out of these dark seasons.
Yes.
How hard was it, though, to commit to, the first few months? Because it's up and down. So for you, in your personal experience, how dedicated did you have to be to stick with the process?
Well, it's all about your habits. And it's all about, money was one of my problems. I was always over the years able to make money, but I wasn't able to save money. I wasn't able to let that money grow elsewhere and do the things necessary to put that money up. And you have to get in those habits, man. Sometimes you just have to change, and you got to find people you respect, and you got to understand different things in life, and you got to move forward and make some changes, because you're going to be in the same spot if you're not willing to change. And that's what I was willing to do, because what I was doing at the time was getting me nowhere. So I had to make some changes in my life, and sometimes that's definitely what we all have to evaluate. And now, at the end of every year, we evaluate where we are, and make sure our money is going to where it needs to go to, and make sure we're building for the future. We do that. And then we do planning for the following year. We do that every year in December, January.
And speaking of building for the future, when you look at what you're able to manage now, platforms you have, you're getting an interview, you're telling your story, you're writing books, you're still managing your trucking company. Mm-hmm. What would you say are your core values today, like your North Star, that keeps you on track to where you want to be in life?
God, family, fatherhood. I would probably put those as the top three guiding principles in my life. I've always believed in God, and my family. I love my family to death, man. And you know what? I'm not gonna lie. You have to learn to appreciate what you have. And I have great kids, and I have some amazing grandkids that just that just set my heart on aflame, man. And I love trying. I love the challenge of trying to lay down a legacy, or trying to them to see what it means to be a father, and what it means to be a strong leader in your family, and what it means to take care of your family, and what it means to be there through thick and thin.
A lot of great things that happen in people's lives require sacrifices. What are some sacrifices that you had to make throughout your years to get to where you are right now?
Well, like I said, I've been incarcerated, man, and the last time I was incarcerated, I turned myself in. I was a wanted man. And I finally said, I'm not going to run. I'm going to turn myself in and face the music, because I knew that was right around the time my daughter was born, my firstborn. And I did not want her to see her father. I didn't want to go through life like that, with her wondering, is she ever going to see her dad? Is he going to be in jail all the time? Is he going to, is he in another state on the run, or stuff like that? So I decided to turn myself in. And that was a big sacrifice. And they came and got me on the 10th day. They had maybe a few hours left. And if they didn't come and get me, I was going to be a free man. They would have had to drop the charges, but they came and got me from the state of Pennsylvania.
It's a very powerful story. If you had words that you would give to anybody else who may be going through, a tough time right now. Everyone's story is different, of course, but what would you say to generally give someone encouragement who feel like they're just in a dark space and they're stuck in life?
The thing I can tell you is never, 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 never give up. Period. Don't give up on it. Because some of the times, you hear these stories. Look at Tyler Perry. Look at Steve Harvey. A lot of these guys, a lot of people, period, who have made it in life were this close to being broke forever, gone forever, in jail, shot, all kind of things. But they never gave up. Steve Harvey used to live in his car. Yeah. Tyler Perry was a bum, on the streets of Louisiana. So, all these, there are hundreds of stories out there of people like this. But you know what they did? They never quit.
We're talking to our guest today, DaVon and Greene. Go to his website, DaVonandGreene.com. You can check out both his books. One of them, it has a free chapter that you can read yourself on the website. In closing, DaVon and Greene, when people learn more about you, what's one thing that you hope that they take away from you, not just as an entrepreneur, but as a person?
I hope they can see that I'm a real person. I'm not anybody's fabrication. I speak my mind, and I'm a positive person. And one other thing is, family means everything to me.
Awesome, man. Well, once again, we want people to go visit your website, DaVonandGreene.com, and that's Greene with an E, DaVonandGreene.com. People can get your books right there on your website, or you said it's also available on Amazon as well?
Yes, they can download the first chapter of my new book on the website for free. Mm-hmm. And that book doesn't come out till January 27th, but they can get a preview of that for your listeners. They can get a preview and go right to my website and download a free first chapter of that book. My other book, Laredo Nuevo, is currently on Amazon right now, and there is a link to that on the website as well.
Awesome, man. Well, once again, DaVon and Greene, I want to say thank you for your time.
Well, thank you so much, sir. It was a pleasure.